Hi, welcome to a new video on the Target Individual program. In this video, I'm going to talk about how they psychologically brainwash your children to target you. Okay, so I went today to pick up Ethan from school, and it's funny because everybody kept looking at me like, so I knew something was up, so I wanted to see what was up, and so I picked him up. We're walking, and again, they have the kids in the school targeting me, and the security, the NYPD school safety officers and stuff like that, right? So I pick up Ethan from school. We're walking home, and a lady did a hand signal, and Ethan opens up his lunchbox. So I said to him, why you open your lunchbox? I don't know, Daddy. And so I said, okay, close your lunchbox, close it. So it was like what I said to him didn't register in his mind. He still kept walking with the lunchbox open. And so at that point, I knew that they had conditioned him to do that. Because the minute that woman did the hand signal in front of him, he opened up his lunchbox, which he had not. We're walking home, okay? That's all it is. We're just walking home. And so, this is the stuff that they do to targets if they have children. And the reason why they're doing it because they know I'm going to talk about it. I am going to talk about it. I don't care. They may come to say, oh, well, he's crazy. He's saying his kids they using his kids to target him. Well, that is exactly what they're doing. And I know it's not his fault. Okay, this is something that they're doing. So I have to now correct the behavior in which they have conditioned him to, right? So now I have to correct the behavior by telling him that when we're walking in the street, I don't care what happens in front of you, behind you, on the side of you, you do not open your lunchbox for anything, okay? Because we are walking home. There's nothing in your lunchbox. You're not eating anything on the way home. We always wait till we get home. I take him to the store after school to get some snacks, and we always walk home, and then he eats his snacks at home. So I have to now correct behavior that they have now conditioned my 6-year-old to do to me. All right? And so this is what we have to do as targets, as parents. If you have kids, like I said, they will use psychiatry to try to take your kids away, right? So if you're saying that your kids they're making your kids target you, and you're talking about it, and I'm talking about it because I really want to see if they will do that, because I want to see them in court, and I have documentations and evidence to prove exactly what they're doing to me. All right. So I am going to be uploading this video, and as you can hear in the background, the sirens, because they know that I'm videotaping. They know that I'm going to put this up, so they have the sirens going on. So this is what they do, right? This is what they do all the time, okay? Now these people have no morals, have no ethics, all right? When you're conditioning somebody else's child to psychologically target them, right? You have no ethics and no moral, and you can't call yourself a good Christian or whatever hell religion you think you're with. So now I have to go, like I said, and correct the behavior in which they have conditioned him to. So I'm going to have to observe him for the rest of the day to see what he does, because when he starts to act out and act in a certain way, peculiar way, I have to tell him to stop it and have to sit him down and then explain to him that you have to be careful of people. Now, one other thing, whenever they do this, and they've done this multiple times, right? When I go to pick him up, his shoelaces are always untied. Now, when I dress him in the morning to go to school, I double tie his shoelace. I double tie it. So I asked him, I said, Ethan, why is your shoelace untied? And he said to me, I don't know. So at this point, I'm thinking that, they may have taken him out of his classroom, okay, brought him into a room where they can condition him to target me, right, and then left his shoelace untied so that I would notice that his shoelace untied. So they've done this numerous times, because any other time that I go pick him up, when they don't use him to target me, his shoelace is always tied. So these are things that I recognize. Like I said, I double tie his shoelace to make sure that his shoelace always remain tied. So when I come pick him up, I don't have to be bending down to tie his shoelace. And his shoelace is always tied, except for those times when I feel like they did something to him to target me. And like I said, as we were walking up to going home, this woman did a hand signal in front of him, and then he just opened up his lunchbox. All right. So this is something that they do. And again, what they do is that because they want to make you believe that you're on the investigation, right? So, like, they don't want me to go pick up my son Bryce, who's 13. I'm sorry, 14, right? And you see, I just said Bryce, and you hear the car honk. This is because I'm being remotely monitored at this point. And they're listening to the conversation, right, that I'm videotaping right now. So they don't want me to go pick up Bryce for whatever reason, right? Because again, once you're a target, you have kids, they want to try to keep you away from your kids. They want to try to label you so that that way they can try to take your kids away from you, because it's all about punishing you for standing up for your rights as an individual, for your rights as a human being, to not be psychologically experimented on, to not be psychologically tortured, to not be experimented on with directed energy weapons. So again, they control the narrative, right? So whenever someone talks about they're being experimented on by the U.S. government, automatically they are given a label. No matter how many times, how much evidence that we've had and we've found about experimentations on human beings right in the United States, okay, they still continue to disbelieve that it's still happening. And no matter, it could be 10 years from now when they'll find something else to say, well, you know what, the U.S. government, again, experimented on people, then they're going to be scratching their head and say, okay, you know what, maybe we need to start looking at these people and their complaint about being experimented on much more seriously, right? But, as a target, you have to understand this, and as a target, it's a psychological campaign that they run against you, okay, because they label you. And so a lot of people is involved. I'm not saying everyone is involved. A lot of people are involved in the targeting. And again, it's a cult mentality. So you're looking at a cult that's created by law enforcement, right, to target people, right, in any way that they want, okay, by labeling, setting the person up, trying to blackmail the individual into joining their cult, which I will never do, okay, and to try to silence the target. And by trying to, because I have children, they are trying to use my children as a tool to silence me, right? But that's not going to happen. Now, you will have to prove that I'm a danger to myself and to my children, which I am not, okay? I take care of my kids. They're well fed. They're well clothed, okay? So whatever you're doing out there when I'm walking with my son, he's always in my mind, and I always know where he is. He's right side of me. If he's behind me, I stop. I'll let him walk up to me, and then we continue, or I hold his hands. So again, you as a target cannot allow them to silence you because they're threatening to take your kids away from you, okay? This cause that we are fighting is more important because you know what? If you are a target and you have kids, most likely when they get older, they will become targets themselves. Even if you are silent about what's being done to you, what's going to happen is that now you're going to give them excuses to say, well, this individual is silent, so now we're going to target his or her children. So you have to understand that. You have to understand that it is not the fault of your children. It is the people who are doing this. It is their fault. So you have to understand it again. So you have to just brush it off and figure out ways in which you can deprogram what they've done to your kids. And again, look up cults, look up cult activities, cult behavior, and you will see that that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's the cult mentality, the cult organization created by law enforcement by labeling people as whatever negative label they want to give them, okay? And then try to do things to make that individual act in the way they want the individual to act. That way they can basically fortify the labeling of that individual. So you have to understand that. So now I have to go do my job of trying to deprogram what they've done to my 6-year-old because they want him to target me. And yes, I'm talking about it. Yes, because I know exactly what's going on.